The YouTube will start when the meeting starts.
YouTube live stream will start. Well, have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you
Have a
too.
good day.
Really like your ceiling, Wade. Thank you. So cool.
It's unmuted.
Look here.
Waiting for him to come on.
Want me to call him?
I called him. I'm sending a text message right now.
Okay.
Okay.
There's agenda here if you guys need it.
Everyone, stay tuned. We'll be starting the meeting briefly. We're ready to prepare.
I just talked with Pierre. I gave him the old, we'll just turn everything off and turn it back on suggestion. And so we'll see if that gets him on.
If not, perhaps he could use his telephone. that was loud, sorry.
Yeah, I just sent him the phone number.
We have to start without him.
Yeah, I'm resending everything to him right now, just to.
Hey, John, in our last meeting, there were some problems where some of us, namely me, muted myself, and then I couldn't, take myself off mute. I'm gonna mute and then see if I could do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I muted and unmuted.
That's fine.
All right, I'll try to just not use that feature.
Yeah, Bill, maybe we go ahead and get started, get through some of the formality stuff. And I emailed, I've texted, I've given the phone number. Let's see how we do. Maybe I'll call him on his landline.
We probably got too much incoming things, text, emails, and everything else, we can't connect.
Yeah, that did it. So if we want to go ahead and get started.
Tracy, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, I will now call to order the meeting of the Winter City Council Tuesday, April 1st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. 6:41, sorry. Tracy, could we have a
Councilmember Anderson,
Present.
Councilmember Lauren,
Here,
Councilmember New, Mayor Pro Tim Cowan,
Here.
Mayor Biazzi.
here? Thank you. Since our theme is the Harold, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Buttons are Ron's working here. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, please join me. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America
America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of the agenda, John.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, just a couple of things about the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda. I would like to maybe go over really quickly just some of the participation rules. Multiple ways that people are viewing tonight. I think we have somebody down in the council chamber. We have people via Zoom. We also have people viewing via our YouTube. So multiple ways in today. For those who are not on Zoom, but would like to participate, you can email any comments that you might have. The instructions were on our website as part of the agenda, but if they just send it to tracy.jensen@cityofwinters.org, we will read the first 240 words of what anybody sends in, and the rest we will put into the public record. For people who would like to speak on any particular item, right now everybody is muted just so that we don't have a lot of background noise. With Zoom, if you go down to the bottom of the participants, if somebody would like to speak at public comment or on a particular item, there is the raise hand button at the bottom. If you raise your hand when we come to the item, we'll go down the list and we will unmute you and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Other than that, no other changes to the agenda.
Okay, with no other changes, we'll open it up for any
I
questions.
move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote on that, please, Tracy? Hey, there's Peter.
There's Peter.
Very good.
We just had a motion and a second for approval of the agenda with no changes. I'm gonna ask again, Tracy, could you roll call vote on that, please?
So we lose Tracy?
You know what, I don't know if Tracy has fallen off, but I'll just go ahead. Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lauren,
Aye.
Councilmember New,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cowan,
Aye.
Mayor Biassi's.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to council and staff comments. Councilmember Lauren.
It was a busy 2 weeks. On April 9th, Mayor Pro Tem Wade Cowan and I attended the Valley Clean Energy Board meeting via Zoom. On April 13th, I attended the League of California Cities Sacramento Valley Board meeting. The board has postponed our usual in-person meetings, but we're keeping a late July meeting in Paradise on the schedule with the hopes that we can meet again in Paradise. Also, I had a WRA and a YSGA executive meeting. Yolo Subbasin continues to collect data and move forward on the groundwater balance and sustainability plan. On April 14th, along with Wade and Kathy Cowan, I helped distribute food at the Winter Senior Apartments and also delivered masks to the residents. On April 15th, I attended a league webinar on investing in neighborhoods where young children and families thrive. My takeaway after the in-service was that the City of Winters leads the Munchkin Camp and the after-school program and is doing more for kids than most communities. On April 17th, I participated in a dry run of a panel that the league is sponsoring called the Energy Resilience Panel. It's a league panel for rural cities on the 29th of this month, and it's basically surrounds PSP events. On April 19th, I attended a Democracy Winners Zoom meeting and heard the presentation by Supervisor Don Saylor on how our county is doing with COVID-19. Yolo has 142 tested and confirmed cases, 10 deaths, 26 hospitalizations, 240 previously homeless are now in hotels, and no real pattern of the dates of the cases. We have 1,511 cases that have been tested, and in those tests, we have a 40% false negative result in those tests. We have a population of 240,000, and with 1,511 tests so far, it means we've tested 0.63% of our population, or fewer than 1%. Governor Newsom released a 6-point plan for reopening our businesses, and the first priorities are ensuring public safety and offering ample testing throughout California. I'm just reporting that if we have less than 1% tested in our county, we're nowhere near the level we need to be for opening up. On Monday, April 20th, I met with our city manager, John Donlevy, over tonight's agenda. In the evening, I met with the Hispanic Advisory Committee via Zoom, and it was reported that 3 of our Hispanic Advisory Committee members have been doing ongoing food distribution on Mondays at the county office. We're interested as a group in making a plan A, a plan B, and perhaps even a plan C for Festival de la Comunidad this September, and we are open and flexible. On 4/21 today, I listened to the governor's presentation. Especially noteworthy was the creation of a new website for volunteers. It's called californiavolunteers.ca.gov. It's basically a clearinghouse of ways that people can volunteer. And it was a program rolled out by somebody I think Wade would recognize if he was watching it today. I'm not sure if he was, but it was this gentleman named Josh Friday, who's a chief service officer and used to be a council member of Novato, and he presented at the Yosemite Policymakers Conference in March. I attended a women's caucus meeting, and our budget is way down, and we're just trying to figure out and scramble what we're gonna do for the rest of the year. I attended 2 meetings on COVID-19 and the effect of farm workers. I had no idea that there were 8,000 farm workers in Yolo County. That's more than residents of Winters, so I was pretty surprised. The state has some funding, and you have to be a 501c to participate. So we're looking into how to help on the outside of being a 501c. Lastly, I'm just really really proud of how patient, caring, and level-headed our community has been during this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would report that I met with the city manager on Monday, April 20th to review the agenda. And that's all I have to report at this point.
Thank you. Councilmember New, you're out there.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. I am on, I don't know exactly the date, on Monday, I met with the CEO of Yellow Habitat Conservancy, and we discussed possible changes in the leadership, actually having the Conservancy work under the umbrella of Yolo County, and that would be done because of the lack of funds, and it's not that Yolo Habitat doesn't have money from fees, but it doesn't have money to pay for an executive director, which we were going to do a search for. In fact, we started to do a search and realized that we can't do that. We can't afford a new director at this time. So we did that. That was that meeting on the Monday, the 20th, with Yolo Housing. We discussed what is going on with housing and the lack of some coordination with getting feedback in a timely manner from national, not locally. And then yesterday I met with the Yolo Conservancy, and we did vote to put the Conservancy under the umbrella of Yolo County. And this morning I had a phone meeting with John Dunleavy, and we Zoomed, and it worked very well. And I never did receive the phone invitation. I checked all my computers and notebooks and telephone, and don't have an invitation. So I was uninvited, but I'm here anyway. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Callen.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 8th, I had a practice Zoom meeting for BCE, and on the 9th, I attended a Zoom meeting for the Senior Commission, and then later, as mentioned by Councilmember Lauren, a regular board meeting for Valley Clean Energy. And on the 14th, Kathy and I think several others participated in a little drive-by birthday parade for the 100th birthday for Rose. And then I met with the city manager yesterday. And then today I was on a Zoom meeting for the DRC Design Review Committee for some moderate income self-help housing that's going to be built out in the new housing development. And then Kathy and I have continued on a weekly basis to help out with the food distribution at the Morgan Street Senior Apartments. And I did want to mention one other thing. I wanted to thank Chief Lopez for the annual report on the fire department, and really nicely done. A lot of good stats and information in there. So thank you to the chief for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Let's see, for me, on April 8th, I watched the first Zoom meeting on COVID-19 planning and resiliency. So they focused on 3 key things. One is their investment risk, 2 is the employer affordability, 3 was the climate risk. The bottom line take home from that, what I heard is there's a rate increase in the next 5 years, and then it should ramp. So ramp up for 5 years and then level off. That's what they're thinking right now, and that's pretty good. On the 9th, I participated in the city staff meeting. On the 10th, I went to the On the 14th, delivered food for Yellow Food Bank here in Winters. One of the emails they sent out that they served 327 people last week before this here in Winters. That's not household. On the 6th of April, I participated in a review of applicants for the school district supervisor position, which is open right now. I was held at Shirley Rominger School, we reviewed 15 applications, and everybody was separated by about 12 feet. So went through the 15 applications separately, and each of these ranked as separate.
Bill, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, all right. And on the 20th, I attended the agenda review with the city manager, and today I did food deliveries again for the food bank here in Winters, and at 3 o'clock, I attended the Zoom meeting for the design review for Neighbor Works housing program here that is pretty good. And that's all I have for my reports. And thank you everyone for all your time spent on your Zoom meetings and for all your reporting. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on, we will go to any public comments. This is for items which are not on tonight's published agenda. And I believe, Tracy, do you have one that was submitted already?
Hold on, I'm unmuting Tracy. Tracy, go ahead.
Okay, I have a comment submitted by Richard Rominger, and it reads as follows. As a Yolo County farmer, longtime Farm Bureau member, past president and board member of the Yolo County Farm Bureau, I endorse the decision of the board of directors to support the Keep Winters Winters initiative as expressed in their press release as follows. After careful consideration, Yolo County Farm Bureau Board of Directors voted to endorse the Keep Winters Winters campaign to place a citizen initiative on the November 3rd ballot, guaranteeing that agricultural land adjacent to the city of Winters cannot be developed without a majority vote of the citizens of the city. Yolo County Farm Bureau is committed to protecting prime farm ground both for the benefit of the local, state, national, and global community, and for those individuals and families who farm it, said Joe F. Martinez, president of the Yolo County Farm Bureau. It is a difficult challenge when developers move into an agricultural area with the intent to convert prime farmland to industrial or municipal uses, or to devalue ag land in order to add substantial dollars of development value to nearby land they own or control, said Martinez. We urge Winters area residents to visit the keepwinterswinters.com website, sign the petition, and vote to keep citizen control of their community in November, said Martinez. Keep Winters Winters is in the final stage of gathering signatures to qualify for the fall ballot, with 10% of the number of registered Winters voters required to qualify. We fully expect to present enough signatures to the city and county, says Bob Polkinghorn, chairman of KWW. In fact, we plan to exceed the required amount. Support among Winters residents has been overwhelming, for which we are deeply appreciative. Residents in an agriculturally oriented community know what an exceptional living experience they have. Keep Winters Winters is fighting the real possibility of the sellout of their community's identity to benefit out-of-area landowners / developers, added Martinez. Yolo County Farm Bureau supports the KWW efforts.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience? Kate Radish has her hand up.
No, I just unmuted Kate, so Kate, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Thank you, Mayor Biasi. My name is Kate Laddish. Address is 400 Morgan Street, number 21. And the address is particularly relevant with my comment this time. So I'd like to take a moment to say that the volunteerism and community spirit in Winters, and Yolo County has been really allowing the residents of Winters Senior Apartments, which is 400 Morgan Street, to abide by recommendations for high-risk individuals to self-isolate at home during this time, and have allowed us to join with the larger recommendations that we all wear cloth face coverings when we go out in public. So I'm going to start with food and then move on to masks. That when the shelter-in-place order was announced, the Yolo Food Bank initiated weekly delivery of fresh produce and canned goods to every apartment in this building. So thank you to the Food Bank's Executive Director, Michael Fish, and his team, to volunteer coordinators Rob Davis and Winters City Council Member Jesse Lauren, and to volunteer delivery folks, including Mayor Pro Tem Wade Cowan, Kathy Cowan, Joanne May, Chris Rose, Woody Friday, Rebecca Friday, Jesse Lauren, Bruce Bailey, Jennifer Rindall, and Catherine Dravashian. And I know that other residents of Winters and city staff and council members have also been involved here and elsewhere. And thank you all. Those are the names that I have that have been delivering food here. Thank you to Rise Incorporated, the Buckhorn Barbecue Truck, Chuck Pierce and the Pizza Factory, and Marie Rojo Heilman for additional earlier food deliveries to the building. We move on to masks now. Councilmember Jesse Lauren made 42 cloth face masks, so everybody here could have one to use. And she did that with fabric donated by Kathy Donlevy. Thank you to Jesse and Kathy. Some folks elsewhere in the county also made and donated some masks. This is just tremendous support, and so I and everybody else here is so very grateful for this. Supervisor Don Saylor connected us with a list of people who were tabulating who was making masks and who was doing that. So I thank him and his wife Julie Saylor as well. I have to say that Yolo County Public Information Officer Jen Pan has been a fantastic resource with this, and she actually, based on questions and comments that the apartment manager and I had, made an infographic for everybody to use in the county for apartments and other close quarters living situations in order to decrease the chances of this facility becoming a coronavirus hotspot. So thank you to Jenny Tan. I will point out that the manager, Jim Stelly, has been fantastic with this and been connecting with different resources. And so I think he personally input everybody's name and address in the Yolo Food Bank website to connect us with the food bank. And I'll just wrap up with saying that thanks to anybody who I've omitted, and I've probably omitted many people because there have been so many people being so helpful. And really thank you to all who are helping people here stay home, stay safe, and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on a non-agendized item? Anything else, Tracy or John, from you guys?
No, I don't see anything. Tracy just got kicked out again. Obviously, the KPA Valley's broadband is not stellar, so, but no other people have raised their hand or indicated they want to talk.
Okay, then we will go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. Mayor and Council, just a couple of items. Item A are the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on April 7th. And item B is a resolution of the City Council declaring the results of the March 3rd primary election. The results are those following the canvassing and the information provided by Yolo County Elections. And it has elected two people. One is Bill Biasi and the other is Jesse Lauren. So that is the consent calendar. Okay. Any comments, discussions? I have one correction on the minutes. This is on item number 1. There was a comment made by me during the public hearing. And the sentence there said it's important to have both single-story and two-story units that are both visible. And it should say visitable. Can email that to you, Tracy, and that's my only comment on the calendar. Anybody else have comments? If not, I will open it up for a motion.
To approve with said changes.
I'll
We have,
second.
we have a motion and a second. Is it time for a roll call vote, John, or you want to do it?
I can do this. Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
New,
Aye.
Lauren,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Callen,
Aye.
and Mayor Biassi.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we have no presentations tonight. On to discussion item number 1, which is designation of mayor and mayor pro tem. Okay. So, John, do you want me to take this?
Tracy's going in and out, and my air traffic controlling on this thing is failing right now. Mayor and council, item B of the consent calendar was the validation of the 2020 election. With that comes a time for a reorganization of the council. Under the city actually does have policy regarding this item. Under ordinance 2004-4, the council designates following an election that the highest vote getter is designated into the position of mayor pro tem, and that would that also correlates into the idea that the mayor pro tem would become the mayor. Within the policy, it's always within the council's discretion on various things, but the ordinance and the policy is that. So with that, the council can discuss and would have to make the necessary motions in conformance with the ordinance 2004-04, or it's up to the council to talk about it. And that's basically that.
I have some follow-up questions for you, John. So this policy was put in place in 2004. Can you state what the policy was before 2004 and maybe a little history about why it changed?
Prior to 2004, it was basically a rotation of the mayor at the druthers of the council. Typically, the mayors served for 2-year terms, but the position was rotated amongst the council. And at the time, that ordinance 2004 is really just kind of an outcropping of, there was a lot of consternation within Yolo County and actually within the region on the idea of, I guess there was conflict in a number of cities over who became mayor and who became mayor pro tem. So the council in 2004 adopted this ordinance basically to take the guessing out of positioning on the council. So, but at the end of the day, it really is up to the council on who is selected. This ordinance provides the policy, and it really is the law. But as we've seen before, the council discusses this and determines the positioning for everybody. So, but the policy and the ordinance does say the highest vote getter is put into the position of mayor pro tem, and the mayor pro tem typically moves into the position of mayor.
Thank you for the history on it. I just wanted to make my my comments on this. I know a number of other cities that have rotating mayorships, and they have a year rotation. And what that allows for them is to have a rotating development of leadership, so that when those members of their council serve on boards, they have experience, leading as mayor and so forth. And while I think that, I am just so proud to have both Bill and Wade to guide our ship. I think that it also leaves sometimes leadership out of an opportunity to serve and to grow as leaders.
Other comments? Here, Sarah, yes?
No, well,
Gary, anything? In my opinion, I think the ordinance which is there, I like the idea of rotating every couple of years, the mayor, president, and the mayor, getting on the direction to go. Gary, do you have any comments?
No, only that I couldn't hear most of what you said. I could see your lips moving, but I couldn't hear anything.
My comments were that I think I approve of what the ordinance is the way it's written. It's a good idea to have the mayor pro tem and mayor's position paid every couple of years. As the ordinance.
Well, I don't think that's a bad method to use at all, but I understand where Jesse's coming from, and I agree that there is the possibility of more training for council members, but maybe if it goes over and over, say the mayor and mayor pro tem run for 5 or 6 terms, and they always come up as mayor, maybe it would be interesting to look at somebody else to be given the chance to be mayor. But I'm not opposed to the method we're using now. I do understand Jesse's thinking and tend to agree with her that there could be more training of more people if it was on a rotating basis. That's it.
well, Bill,
Yeah, Carol.
Bill, as I understand the current ordinance, the process ultimately comes down to the city council. If there are any issues that come up.
Well, I'm not raising any issues with Wade or Bill. I think we have a really strong council team, and I think that we all work really well together, and I'm very proud of that. I just also see, that when it seems to start to rotate between 2 people over time, that it kind of locks out development of others, and it's something to maybe look at in the future.
And I think something we can consider in the future. I think Wade has demonstrated some great leadership abilities in the past, and this would be a good time for him to take over as well and serve as mayor for the next 2 years.
Absolutely.
We're going through some tough times and with strong leadership in there. So with that, is there any more comments? If not, we'll open it up for motion.
Yeah, it's just it's really hard to hear you.
Okay, I'll try to speak louder. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so with that, I will open it up for a motion for anybody who would like to nominate mayor.
I'd like to nominate Wade for mayor.
Hey, we have a nomination for mayor. Wade John, do we have a second? I will.
I'll take.
Okay, I'll let Pierre second it. Tracy, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure, Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lauren,
Aye.
Councilmember New,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cowan,
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mayor Cal.
Thank you.
And we still need to also select the mayor pro tem. pass that on to you. The new mayor.
Okay, we'll open it up for, the nomination for Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make the motion for Bill Biasi to be Mayor Pro Tem.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Tracy, can we get a roll call vote again, please? Did we lose her again, John?
I hope not, but let me give it a shot. Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember New,
Uh,
Councilmember Lauren,
Here, aye.
Councilmember, or I guess I'll say Mayor Callen,
Yes.
and Councilmember Mayor Biasi.
Yes.
Okay. Unanimous vote. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. And with that, thank you, everybody. With that, we're gonna move on to discussion item number 2, which is waive the second reading and adopt ordinance 2020-01. Has to do with amending Title 17 in regards to ADUs. And I believe, John, you and or Dave Doswell will address this for us.
Yeah, I don't think Dave's on, and but let me give it a shot. I've got
John, can I interrupt you for just a minute?
Sure.
I think that when we were moving from the consent calendar to the discussion calendar, some people might be on the Zoom thinking that there was going to be a swearing in, maybe not knowing that we would have so many problems with being online tonight. Is that something that maybe will occur another day? I just don't want people to be on if they don't have to be on.
Yeah, you know what, Tracy is coming back right now. Let me, let's see.
Councilmember Lawrence, correct. Typically, we do a swearing in and
Yeah.
make the change.
Okay, Tracy, are you gonna do a swearing in?
Sure, I'm not truly prepared for that, but I'll do my best. So are we swearing in Mayor Callen?
You know what, let me,
You would usually swear in the newly elected at this time.
Where's the cake?
yeah.
That's right. Where's the cake?
No, hey Tracy, let me try and do this. Okay, I'll go ahead and handle this.
Thank you.
So for council members, Biasi and Lauren, if you could, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of City Council member
the duties of City Council member
to the City of Winters, California,
to the city of Winters, California.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Okay, everybody gets to have cake in their minds.
There are fireworks, there's a huge cake downstairs. Yeah, the buffet, they're setting up right now over at the Buckhorn, and
Tacos,
there
tacos for everyone.
would be drinks for everybody. Good, okay, so let's,
Thank you.
So we can now get back to
Yeah.
discussion item number 2.
All right, I apologize. Just a couple of technical difficulties. Mayor and council, tonight, staff is recommending that the city council with the second reading and adopt ordinance 2020-01, which is an ordinance of the city council amending the city municipal code regarding accessory dwelling units, which basically brings us into conformance with the state of California's new edicts regarding ADUs. A couple of the key points, ADUs have to be approved within 60 days. Cities have to automatically approve any ADUs of 800 square feet or less. City can't require owner occupancy of either the ADU or the principal unit, which is a very distinct deviation from our existing ordinance, which requires owner occupancy. Cities can't require any off-street parking for an ADU. Cities must allow conversions of the existing garages without having to replace the garage. ADUs, cities cannot charge impact fees for ADUs under 750 square feet. The cities can't count the footprint of the detached ADU towards any allowable lot coverage, and cities must allow ADUs on lots with multifamily structures. So big changes. At the end of the day, the things that can happen within the existing ordinance, the ADUs can't be any more than 50% of the size of the current dwelling unit that's being proposed. So with that, staff is recommending that the council waive the second reading of this and adopt the ordinance. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, is there anybody that has any questions for staff? We've all, Jesse, did you have something?
Yeah, during our last discussion 2 weeks ago, Dave Doswell was gonna get back to us on whether or not there was any discussion or any definition in the state information on whether or not the ADUs would be counted as in our arena numbers, and I believe that the answer is no, it will not, but I wanted to hear from Dave or from City Manager John Donlevy. I'm asking for clarification on that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I actually meant to bring that up. No, they cannot be counted towards our affordable housing numbers. The caveat to that is that we can count things that we can get some type of a deed restriction on, but just the way that this is written in conformance with the state, I don't see that happening. Why would somebody put any type of restriction on an affordable or on any type of unit that they don't have to, unless there was some type of funding that came along with it? But my guess, this is basically creates almost an open season on ADUs for people who want to do it. But the direct answer, no.
Okay.
Okay, with that said, this is a state mandate that all the cities have to adopt these ordinances in regards to ADUs. And this is the second time we've heard this. But with that said, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to this item?
Mayor, I'm looking at the list. Nobody's put up their hand. We don't have any Zoom waivers or anything, so,
No, I'm not seeing any either. So with that, we can open it up for a motion.
I'll make motion. I move that we, approve the ordinance as written.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember New and a second by Councilmember Lauren. John, can we get a roll call vote, please?
yeah.
Or Tracy, if you're still there?
I'm here.
Okay. We'll take a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lauren,
Aye.
Councilmember New,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Biazi, Mayor Callen.
Aye. Okay, with that, the motion carries unanimously. So we'll move on to discussion item number 3, which is the Planning Commission appointment recommendations. And John, did you want to say anything in regards to this, or I could take it, or Jesse can take it?
I know, just as a brief introduction, we have had 2 resignations from the Planning Commission. I know council appointed a subcommittee to do the interviews, and I guess I would just turn it over to the subcommittee.
Okay. Go ahead.
As a member of the subcommittee, I'd like to say that there was, once again, an amazing array of highly qualified, highly educated, and dedicated people in Winners who put their name in the hat for a position helping Winners. And we were just so pleased, and we were looking, for something specific because of Lisa Baker leaving, and because of having Patrick Riley, who was such a long-standing member. No disrespect for all the great interviewees and all their contributions, and I'm very proud to say that we selected Nancy and Chris Rose.
Yes, and I'll echo that as well. And it was an amazing group that we had interviews with, and we could have replaced the entire planning commission with the group we had. So we're looking forward to hopefully keeping some of those people on the list and getting to fill them in along the way. And a couple of them we talked to, we'd like to even consider for some other positions within some of our other commissions down the road. So again, as Councilmember Lauren mentioned, at this point, we're nominating Nancy Northrup to take Lisa's spot, and Chris Rose to assume Pat Riley's spot. And with that said, is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak to this item?
Mayor, we have Kate Laddish has put up her hand.
Okay,
And
you can unmute her, she can speak. Go ahead, Kate.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Cowan. Thank you. Congratulations to you, Mayor Pro Tem Biazi and Councilmember Lauren. And Kate Laddish, 400 Morgan Street, number 21. Very quickly, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who threw their hats in the consideration ring for the Planning Commission, and congratulations to Chris and Nancy for falling to the top by the Planning Commission, as well as the council for such valuable work. And I'm so glad to hear that there was robust response to the opportunity to apply.
I had one other comment, and
Go ahead.
Kate Laddish reminded me of the comment when she spoke. On our list in our packet are all the people that turned in their applications, but we still had, from our prior interview process from the last time, we still had a short list, and Al Vallecillo was on that short list, and Al Vallecillo did very well. And I just want to mention that we hope he keeps applying. And I know that he's on this call, say thank you for his commitment to Winners. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none, Bill, I think you had your hand up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment also, I sat in on 3 of the interviews, a couple of them, and I was impressed with just the 3 that interviewed. I would say any of them have been appointed as well, so I'd just like to say, I'm very thankful that we have people in our community who are interested in serving, and those who didn't get served, I would encourage to apply them.
Thank you. With that said, if there's no other comments from the council, we'll open it up for a motion.
I will move to appoint Chris Rose to fill Pat Riley's position and to appoint Nancy Northrup to fill Mr. Baker's position. Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Biazi and a second by Councilmember New. Tracy, are you still there? Can we do a roll call vote, please?
She is muted.
She's now, she's unmuted.
I'm here. Let's do this fast.
Okay,
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Hi. Councilmember Lauren. Aye. Councilmember New.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Biazi.
Aye.
Mayor Callen.
aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Discussion item number 4, resolution 2020-16, adopting a list of projects for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 that are funded by SB1. And I think that might go to Eric with our Public Works Department.
All right, Eric, you are, there you are. You are unmuted.
Good. Well, congratulations to you guys for your new positions and re-elections, well deserved.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm just, staff is here again talking about street rehab projects. I know it doesn't get old, but I know I was here the last council meeting talking about the SB1 street rehab project for the 1920 project. And just to give you an update on that real quick, scheduled to start April 30th with the slurry seal through the first part of first week of May, and then the grind and pave will follow. So it may go into the second part of second week of May, but that's going to be starting up here real soon. But this one here, what we're looking for in the SB1 2021 is for council to just basically receive this presentation, adopt the resolution, and approve the project list and the budget for it, and just authorize the bids for construction and have the city manager the ability to execute agreements and contracts on this. And this has to be done by May 1st. We have to get this done and then get it to the state by May 1st. Now, they've kind of talked about moving that date, but as I said last council meeting, I just want to get this thing taken care of so that we're in, because we don't know what the future holds with the SB1 funding or any other funding with the way things are going right now. So I know I'm really glad to have what we have here on this project. And what you're seeing on the screen, if anybody can see the screen, is basically an overall project of what we've done over the last 4 years. So this, over the last 3 years, the 2021 project will be our 4th time since the SB1 funding has kicked in. And so what's showing there is basically what we've done with the funding since 17-18. And what you see in red is basically a brand new road, a grind and pave. And this is not to get ahead of myself, this is actually including the 2021 project. So that's what we're looking at with the 4 years altogether. So everything in blue, obviously you can get more square footage done with the slurry seal. It's a lot cheaper, but there are some places that there is no slurry seal is just hiding, you know, a bad road. So any chance we can get to grind and pave, we're being real selective of where we do it, and So we're getting a lot done. And it's, it's not just the SB1 funding. If you look at this 2021 budget, SB1, I am glad to say that now we get $140,000 this year. We use $44,000 of gas tax money, and then $233,000 is actually TDA. And that's what kind of boosted this, the 1920 and the 2021 project is when our finance director, Shelley, came and said, hey, there's money here. If you're gonna allocate it to this year, it has to be used in this year. So we're dedicated to using it and getting as much out of this as we can. And then what we have budgeted for next year is to actually bring the engineering group out that does the PCI report again. And I'm really hoping that our 64 PSI average is jumped up above 70. And I would be willing to bet that we're going to be in the mid 70s with the average of what our street PCI index is. And what that says is how good your pavement is. And if you're 70 to 80, that's good. If you're above that, it's really good. So that's our target. So basically, this project here, it is a project, but it's also with the resolution that we need to go through to get the funding from the state. That's why we're bringing this to you. So if there's any questions with whether we're looking at the map or we're looking at the staff report, which shows which streets we're doing on this project, I'd be glad to help answer any of them.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for staff?
I have a question. Eric, if you could tell us on that map that we see on our screen, the 2019-20, what's the blue line versus the red line?
So the blue line is slurry seal, and the red lines are a grind and pave, which is basically a new road. And so what we did, we took, when we came out in 17-18 and we had to create this kind of a 2-year, 3-year project, we never had the funding to actually do what we wanted to do. And so what we've done is we've taken a little bit from 17-18, a little bit from 18-19, and then we just keep adding those to make the next year's project. And what we've kind of added here is basically what we've added that wasn't on the list is, and I'm sure Councilperson Lauren is going to appreciate Valley Oak is kind of falling apart, and the only way we can really do that is kind of pave. So from the first part of the alley on Valley Oak all the way up to Adams Lane on the northbound lane will be a grind and pave. And then also on Hemingway in front of the Olive Grove project, if you drive by that, it looks like somebody had a field day with the grinder in and out of the roads because of all the connections of the new housing. So that's all going to be redone as well. Outside of that, we're pretty much, everything is off of the original plan.
Okay.
The way that your map shows up here is that you can't see Valley Oak on here. So I'm really glad that you addressed that because you knew I was gonna say something.
If you look all the way to the far left, it's that red line going. If you're seeing the screen,
Yeah.
I'm seeing where John's arrow is. The red line over there is Valley Oak.
I think on my screen, because I have pictures on one side, it's not showing it. So I'll work on that.
Okay, but yeah, so basically from the beginning of the island on the south side of the island going northbound, all the way up to Adams Lane will be.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for staff? Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak to this item? Oh, okay, I think Tina Loudon had her hand up. John, can you unmute Tina? Okay, go ahead, Tina.
Thank you, Eric, for addressing Hemingway. That's great. It's looking good. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a lot to do, but it's good to get something done. And right now, like I said, we're just looking to keep pushing this forward. And to kind of add on to this, Last time we talked as well about that sidewalk rehab project, and I just wanted to give council an update on that as well. That's gonna be starting, well, it's already started, but it's gonna be kind of done in like 3 different phases. And so I went out and made a list of what I thought we can do with the funding that we had, kind of guessing at how many square foot per location. But once you get out there and you're actually on the sidewalk, you realize that it's not a 10-foot section, it's 20, 30 feet. And it's really reduced our list. We're still gonna get done about probably 30 different locations, but they're very, some really bad locations. So where we're starting on that first list is, if you ever go down Baker Street from the post office to First Street, it's horrible on the southbound, the south side of the street there. We're getting a lot done right there. There's a really bad place on Main Street by the mid-block, right in front of, say, Ireland's, or where Rootstock used to be. There's some tree lifted up right on the corner of Main and First Street where the brick pavers are, on the side of Audrey's there. That's gonna get redone. And then a lot down Russell, 3rd Street, and Main and 4th Street, and a little bit on Abbey. So, I mean, it's just the start, and that's just the complete rebuilds. I'm still working on the people that do the saw cutting, only because when they did their survey, they came out with this astronomical amount. So I'm gonna have to reduce that down to our budget. And then I just spoke with the city manager about doing this again next year. So when I'm looking at the budget for this SB1 project, we're looking at about 417,000. That's because 50,000 we're pulling out again to do this same project in the 2021 fiscal year. So I think, kudos to the city manager and the council for moving this forward, and it's really going to pay off, because we, as a staff, we just cannot get done what needs to get done. So it's a good move.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Biazi.
Yeah, Eric, are there any curb cuts on the corner being done with this money?
Any curb cuts? Say that again. I'm sorry.
Curb cuts on the corners?
Oh, on the 88, no. So next week, we are behind on that, but that's on us, and we're getting back on that starting next week. Probably the end of next week, we're just going back on our schedule, and we're gonna try to start hammering those out, catch up. But it's not a part of this project, only because if I paid them to do one corner, we would probably only get about 5 of those done. So, but that's a good, I wanted to bring that up, that it's not forgotten. We're just trying to get reorganized and things straightened out, but we plan on at the end of next week starting to hit those again.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any more questions, or anybody from the audience that would like to comment? Seeing none, we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-16 to approve the project list and to authorize the bids for construction as stated.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Garrett.
Okay, we have motion by Councilmember Lauren and second by Councilmember New. Tracy, are you still there? Can you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure can. Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Lauren?
Aye.
Councilmember New?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Biazi?
Aye.
And Mayor Callen?
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
motion carries unanimously, and we'll move on.
Thank you.
Next item, you're welcome, Eric, and yeah, have fun. The next item is receiving a staff update on the YOLO COVID-19 Relief Fund effort and appointing a city council member to serve on the Leadership Advisory Board. John, are you gonna take this?
Yeah, Mayor and Council. So obviously, everybody's heard of COVID-19 by now, and there are many prongs of things that are going on, and there's actually quite a bit of leadership happening in Yolo County on this. And one of the things that I think everybody can acknowledge are not only the economic devastation that's happening, but also some of the big issues that are happening to many of the nonprofit organizations, which are literally the lifelines of things that are happening in the response to COVID-19. So through a combination of the Yolo Community Foundation, Yolo County, and now the cities, there's the formation of the Yolo County COVID-19 Relief Fund, which is really a combination of a couple of things. First is they're looking to set up an overall fund and then a grant funding program, which would be administered by the Yolo Community Foundation, which would have a grant process, which would go to many of those organizations that are the first responders of COVID-19. In your packet, I've included a little bit of information about the grant program and the application process for that. Yolo County, in a very bold statement, started off with a funding of $250,000 going towards the program. Davis came in, the city of Davis, and the cities were asked to participate. So city of Davis was the first in. They brought in up to $50,000. You've got the cities of West Sac and Woodland, which are committing to at least $25,000. There are two components to the way that the relief fund is going to work. First, there's an advisory committee, and that was put together pretty rapidly. It includes members from the Yolo Community Foundation. They are recruiting folks from other aspects of the nonprofit sector, but each one of the cities and the county manager were asked to put people on the board. So each one of the city managers has appointed somebody. I am sitting on the advisory board representing Winters, and the county manager, Pat Blacklock, is representing the county. The second part of it is the leadership part of the panel, and that's where they're asking for elected representatives. Now, the overall governance model, the way I kind of see it, and I know that Jessica Hubbard, who is the executive for the Yolo Community Foundation, I think she's on the call also and can answer any questions. But from a governance standpoint, they're looking for the electeds to come and basically provide some oversight into how the overall grant process goes. And I think there may be a participatory function. Tonight, what staff is recommending is that the city participate in this relief fund, that one of the council members be selected to serve on the leadership group as part of this. From the city standpoint, you've got cities that are bringing money into it. And right now, I can tell you that as we're looking at our overall financial situation, we're still trying to evaluate where we will come in on this. But it's a very dynamic process. It's moving now. Staff is, I'll tell you, very impressed with where this is headed. So recommending our participation, we appoint somebody, and that we begin a process of participating with the group. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. For Jessica, I'm trying to unmute, I think Jessica's iPhone. Jessica, are you there?
Yes, that's me. This is, yes, thank you.
Good. So let me introduce Jessica Hubbard. She's the executive director for the Yolo Community Foundation. I probably missed a whole bunch of things. So if you can, why don't you pick up for anything I missed?
No, I think you covered it really well. I appreciate the vote of confidence. And yeah, we're really thrilled to have each of the cities in the county have representation on both the group that's making the grant making decisions, as well as the group that's setting the policy. The other key piece of the leadership advisor's role besides setting policy is playing a really important role of being the liaison between the city initiative and the local community. So we're looking to the leadership advisors to help us understand what the needs are in the community, particularly to help us identify gaps in services where there's a need that's not yet well met by a local nonprofit, and to help us get the word out to local nonprofits about these resources and to the critical importance of philanthropy at this time. So we're really excited to have someone from Winters hopefully join the leadership advisory group this evening and to, answer any questions you have about the process.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jessica or for John on this item? Anybody from the council?
No, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Cities are just being asked to put in whatever they can afford to put in right now, is that correct?
Councilmember Biasi, at this point, the cities have come in, like I said, Davis came in with 50,000, both West Sac and Woodland are looking at around 25,000. Quite honestly, I'm looking at our budget trying to figure out what we can afford. We need to do that evaluation, and I think we just need to decide over the next couple of weeks as we're doing some financial evaluation on really what we can afford to bring into this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I think we're gonna have to make a lot of adjustments in our budget, and I appreciate the county starting this with the $250,000. That will go a long way. This also, who's eligible to get these grants, and take them who in Winters would be eligible. The one that comes to mind would be Winters Healthcare. Be able to apply. I don't know. Who's in Winters and you think might be eligible?
Yeah, well, I think Winters Healthcare is a really shining example of somebody who would be eligible, and they serve the Winters community, but they serve a lot of incorporated areas all around, and they have staff that they've currently had to lay off because they can't offer services like something like dentistry. So they're kind of in a world of hurt where they're ramping up some things and not able to provide other things. And I would think that maybe some other organizations that might provide PPE for people, like perhaps for farm workers and for people around Yolo County that also come to Winters, maybe something like RISE would be something that might qualify. Maybe Jessica could speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually two categories for accepting grants. One is the frontline or exacerbated by COVID-19. So that's issues, but also on social safety net issues and food access and job loss and income replacement and so on. Then there's a second category, and we're expecting that some reporters of the community that many of our nonprofits are really teetering on the edge right now because of the lost income, lost volunteers, inability to deliver their services the way that they always have. And so we're expecting that about a quarter of the grants will go to a wider range of local nonprofits to help them survive and thrive during the crisis. So yeah, I would think quite a number of, every nonprofit in the county would be eligible for one or the other category. And certainly there are quite a number of nonprofits in Winters that I think would really be very competitive with one or the other grant.
Okay, well, we got most of that. It was pretty broken up, but yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm gonna comment that, I did have a conversation with Councilmember Lauren, on this, topic earlier. And, if there's no objections, she has volunteered to take the council, position on this committee. If everybody's okay with that on the council, and if there's any other comments from the council, or we'll entertain comments from the public as well.
Kate Laddish has her hand.
Kate, hold on, we'll get to Kate. There she is. All right, Kate.
Great. Mayor Cowan, Kate Laddish, 400 Morgan Street, number 21. All right, I think I'm fully unmuted. And thank you for this discussion about the Yolo County COVID-19 Relief Fund. I think that this is an opportunity, really extraordinary and obviously difficult circumstances for the different members of the county community to actually draw together and strengthen the fabric of the community through communication as well as working together on this.
Rosen.
I would wholeheartedly encourage or support participation from City of Winters in this, and based on what I've learned about it through listening to the Board of Supervisors meetings and also from Supervisor Don Saylor's presentation about Yolo County and COVID-19 to Democracy Winners on Saturday, which included a section on this. I think Councilmember Jessie Lauren would do an extraordinary job representing Winters in this. She's certainly shown through her representation and activities with the League of California Cities that she's able to represent Winters in a very large playing field and bring information back from Winters and get Winters into some very meaty discussions. In terms of other nonprofits and opportunities for Winters organizations to benefit from this, I'll point out the Pewter Creek Council. It would be that they have been and continue to be a very important member of the Winters community, and that's a nonprofit. I should disclose I'm a member of the advisory committee to the board of directors of Pewter Creek Council, but I'm speaking just for myself. I haven't. There's been no official communication about this between me and anybody else on that. Again, I think it's a valuable opportunity in these very difficult circumstances. I'm glad that Winters is considering proceeding, and thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this item? Is there any other comments from the council? I guess we probably take a motion to nominate Councilmember Lauren to the committee.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember New and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Biazi to appoint Councilmember Lauren to the Leadership Advisory Board for the COVID-19 Relief Fund effort. We'll do a roll call vote. Tracy? I call you Nancy.
Councilmember Anderson?
He's muted.
Oh, okay. All right. Councilmember Anderson?
Although I didn't catch half the comments, I'll vote aye.
Tracy, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I can, okay,
Councilmember Anderson
Councilmember
voted
Anderson?
yes?
okay, Councilmember Lauren?
Yes.
Councilmember New?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Biazi?
Yes.
And Mayor Cowan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, passes unanimously. Councilmember Lauren, you have a new job.
Yay!
Congratulations. Okay, with that said, let's see here. I think we're done with the discussion item. Nope, one more. Planning projects and development status update. I think that's probably the city manager, John.
Yay. Mayor and council, tonight, I thought I'd just kind of give an update to the council on where we're at on probably the most ambitious areas that we've been working on, which are planning. Let me just kind of give you a look at the list of projects. And in the packet is both a spreadsheet and an overall work program. The work program is very much a draft of calendar, but it kind of gives you an idea that we're literally working through 2022 on most of these projects. Just kind of going down the list, the housing element RFPs, those are due tomorrow. And the good news is that we've gotten a couple. We actually expanded and changed some of the scope. We provided some information from SACOG on this. We will start evaluating the proposals literally tomorrow. So one of the things that we anticipate doing is probably negotiating something with whomever we hire for the housing element to help us with the other projects. The big projects that are funded through the state grant through SB2, we have the city limits specific plan, the accessory dwelling units, the design standards, financial review, which is actually being done separately through our financial management consultant. They will also help with the climate action plan. I think either the second or third meeting of the climate action plan advisory board is working right now. But from all of this, we expect that we'll not only get the environmental document, but we'll get a housing element. We'll update a number of our key things and ultimately have a climate action plan out of it. Also, part of everything is basically just community engagement. Also, what I thought I'd do is kind of give an update on project applications. Really, there's only one application that is out there, Walnut 10 subdivision, 54 units. They held a public meeting, and I think that the applicant and our contract planner are still kind of dishing around a little bit, trying to figure out if it's going to be at the May 26th council meeting. There are two other projects out there that have been discussed. One is Farmstead, which is the screen property. There's no application, but I can tell you the staff has actually gone to them about upping their overall densities, given some of the things that are being talked about in the community right now. It actually represents the largest developable property in Winters. So we've talked to them about the ideas of maybe reimagining their project to have significantly higher densities on the almost 43 acres where residential would be built. And then the all-encompassing North Area project, there's no application or project. Staff met a little over a month ago with some of the representatives of the property, and they gave absolutely no indication that they're considering any type of application in the near future. And that is the planning projects update.
Okay, is there any comments or questions from council?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
We had, I think, identified, what was it, 3 funding sources to do all this planning work, and all those come through? The biggie was the SB2 grant, 160,000. Yes on that. The 100,000 from SACOG. I actually executed. All the days are blurring together, but within the past couple of days, I've executed the MOU with SACOG on that, so we've got 100,000 for that. There are 2 other funding sources. One is 65,000, which is through AB 101. That is called LEAP, and I forget what LEAP stands for. Probably Councilmember New can tell me what that stands for. But there's also REAP, which is an additional 10,000 coming through SACOGs. I have not submitted any of the paperwork on either the LEAP or the REAP functions, but yeah, that's just honestly, they're block grants. They're in. I just needed to find the time to submit the paperwork. So we've got all the funding, and from the general fund, we're bringing in about 70,000 on all of this. Well, yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you for bringing this all together. This is a lot of work that we're doing. And as we all know, a very difficult time with so many other things going on. So I just wanted to say thank you for where we're at so far, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I just had some questions, clarifying just what's on the table. So I'm not saying this on my behalf that I need to know this, because I am very clear on this. But for the public, I have heard that it has been tossed around in the public that Winters has a proposed development to consume something like 700 acres. Is there any proposed development at this time, or has there been a specific plan or a document turned into city to develop this 700 acres?
The answer is no. There's never been an application that's been submitted. In the past, staff does talk with property owners about many things, but there is no application, there is no project.
And
There is no a giant subdivision proposal that's out there. The only two projects that I would consider to be even semi-active are Walnut 10 and Farmstead.
And if there was to be a giant proposal, what would the steps be for that giant proposal? Would it just be done without any public input, or would there be a process in place?
So there's two answers to that question. First, for anything within the city limits, an applicant can submit a project at any time. But anything that goes beyond the city limits, into even the city's sphere of influence, the city council has adopted a resolution which basically states that before any application can even be considered for any property which is in the sphere or outside of the sphere, it would have to come before the city council to be accepted for processing.
Yeah, I just felt like it was important at this time to mention that, we have a process in place, and that anything that would come, anything that would be proposed to council in the clear light of day to council with public input. And I just want to make sure that, that was discussed tonight as we are looking at projects before us. So just to kind of restate, so we're looking at possibly developing more on the street and project, and Walnut 10 is the only project before us.
That's correct. It's there's an application on Walnut 10, which I think it is going on May 26th. But we'll find that out, and I'll get that out to everybody. But on Farmstead, the screening project, a lot of talk on things. There's been a lot of money invested by the screening team looking at flood overlay, but there's no definitive application yet on that project, and there's absolutely nothing from the north area.
Okay, John, one other project that I'm curious about the status on is the Creekside property across from the Catholic Church. What's the status on that project?
They've got approvals and they've got a development agreement on it, but your guess is as good as mine on it. We've worked diligently. There's a broker who is basically in charge of that property, representing the Diocese of Sacramento, but lots of tire kickers have walked through the door. They've got an approved map. They could do something, but as of right now, there's absolutely there's nothing. We don't have anybody saying, yeah, I'm going to do something on that property.
Okay, all right. Councilmember Lauren, do you have something else?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for answering those questions.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments or questions? Is there anybody from the audience that would like to comment on this item? Any hands anywhere, John?
Kate. And
There you go.
She's unmuted. Go for it.
Go ahead, Kate.
Thank you, Mayor Cowan. All right, I'm still Kate Gladish at 400 Morgan Street, number 21. And quick questions. I know it's a good topic during an unusual time. And so one of the questions is, since there's been so much discussion about how to do community engagement as we go into these really major and pretty defining topics, that I'd be interested in having intervening discussion about how we're going to do robust, thorough, and effective community engagement during a time when none of us can be within 6 to 12 feet of each other and we can't gather in large groups. And so I think now would be a good time to consider how we're going to do this in a way that works for all of us. It's obviously not ideal, but maybe there are ways that we can work this to our advantage, or at least be able to pull something off in a way that works for everybody. And also that, say for with the Winter City Limits plan, that I think, I'm not sure when is the right place to have a discussion about how detailed and when the timing will be of really thorough discussion of what the process is going to be of this and how we're going to come up with this. I know there is talk about this from staff about how having a city limit specific plan will allow us to streamline different applications, because we will have a city limit specific plan in place. And so I think since there is going to be a streamline of the process, it'd be particularly important to make sure that there is really good public discussion before we get to that point about what the city limits specific plan will be and what the process is of getting there. I think that is a really crucial document, and I'm excited that it's a discussion we're going to be having, but I want to make sure that we don't go too far down the road before realizing that there is still that discussion to be had. I think that it's keystone for a lot of what we're doing. And I'll just throw in, I know since the Climate Action Plan Development Board is on there, thank you to Christopher Flores for all the work that he's doing on that of the Development Board.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none, I don't think it's anything we need to vote on. It was an informational item. It is going to be interesting going forward, as Kate says, about how we're going to handle these meetings and stuff. But hopefully we get out of this COVID-19 situation sooner rather than later, and we can go back to having normal meetings. There is 2 other items on this agenda, and they are simply information only: a treasurer's report and investment report, if anybody's interested in reading through those. And with that, we're down to the city manager's report. John?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, just a couple of items. COVID-19, I can tell you that I participate in 3 pretty high-level meetings each week on the Yolo County COVID-19 response. And I will just tell you, very impressive. There's a lot of work. One of the things that I'll point out to the council is that they are the current order from the Yolo County Health Officer expires on May 1st. So within the next week, there are going to be a lot of big decisions and direction that's going to be made regarding all of this. So expect that something is going to come out next week on this, because there's a huge national debate. There's an enormous statewide debate. The governor's coming out with kind of his 6 points, but every day the governor gets up and is talking about all this. Today he got up and was talking about the volunteer aspect, but he also said that they would be releasing more information tomorrow. It's always more the next day. So we'll see where that's going to go in COVID-19. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, we are going to have a business town hall where we've invited many of the businesses. Actually, we just put it out on our Facebook, anybody that wants to participate. But we're going to have a chance to start beginning the dialogue with our business community on who is starting to talk about how we will reopen Winters. We have a lot of eggs in the destination basket. we have literally hundreds of people that are out of jobs right now, and we've got to figure out how to restart everything. We had tremendous momentum in February going into March. We had the most robust downtown that has probably ever existed in the history of Winters. Our ability to restart that, the Winters Hotel. So tomorrow we're just going to start opening the discussion. Are we going to finalize anything? I don't think so. But if anything, we're just going to try and provide a forum for everything. The overall fiscal situation is tightening pretty strong. I hate that each meeting we're increasing the amount, but probably the hit on our general fund revenues this year are now going past 400,000, closer towards $500,000. The effects of this pandemic on us financially are very significant. And I can tell you that we're meeting with our employees to talk about things. As I mentioned, we keep a very healthy reserve because we absolutely need it. We are not a city that has a lot of money coming across the counter through our year. More than half of all of our money doesn't come to us until late in February and late in May when we get our property taxes. So you think, well, you just kind of cash flow with all your reserves. No, because if you think about moving money around, it's like putting things on a credit card. You will never catch up. And so for us, as we're looking at our overall spending, it is reaching a very critical point. So we're talking with our employees. Look for us to schedule a special council meeting with the council members for some time in early May to go over the city's budget, because number one, trying to put together a 2-year budget at this time is just crazy because we don't know where the state's going. But even more importantly, we've got some pretty big potential expenses that are going to be popping up, and we need to meet not only with the council but also for the community to hear the situation that we're getting into. And Kate Laddish actually hit on a very good point. This whole social distancing thing, these meetings are great. They're kind of exhausting at the end of the day, but you need an opportunity for people to come together to get really quality input. And as we look towards community engagement, as the mayor says, hopefully we're going to get out of this thing, but it may not be as soon to have big meetings and bring everybody together. It may not be soon enough for various things. So if anybody has that magic elixir to figure out how we're going to do community engagement in the COVID-19, I'm open to suggestions, but I can tell you that our little planning group amongst the staff is talking about that every day. And just finally, congratulations to both council members Lauren and Biasi and the council member Callan for becoming mayor. We should be eating cake tonight. We really should. And just imagine that we are eating some really good cake. Maybe I'll have my daughter make stuff and I'll go put it on everybody's doorstep. But congratulations to the council members. The community really is very blessed. We have exceptional leadership in so many areas, and it certainly is an honor to be able to work with a council like all of you. I know the staff's thrilled, and I appreciate the opportunity every single day. So with that, that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Councilmember Lauren, did you have another comment to make?
No.
Your hand up? No? Okay. Well, I'd just like to, again, say congratulations to Bill and to Jesse for the election. And I'd also like to thank Bill for his leadership over the last couple of years. You know, you've done a fantastic job, and I hope I can do you justice over the next couple of years. And with that, I think we will adjourn the meeting at, let me see here, what time it is, 8:20. Thank you all. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
1, 2, 3.